what makes a great professor is charisma. It's very important for a prof to be charismatic into the material that's being taught, even if the students aren't.
I think the more important qualities for a great professor are probably enthusiasm for the subject and an ability to explain clearly. Those two are really what makes a professor good.
Someone who's understanding, connects well with the kids, is interesting to listen to. They can add a little bit of creativity into their lesson. Someone that's easy to understand, doesn't try to use huge words all the time.
Someone just knowing the subject and just, blabbering to a class is not really going to make a good professor. You'd rather want somebody who can communicate well and reach out to the students.
Stick to the subject matter.
A great professor is one that involves the class in the lectures, more like interactive, like gets the students, so you don't feel like you're like watching something, but you feel like you're part of something.
One that speaks from personal experience and actually goes up to class and explains everything thoroughly without just reading and explaining from the actual textbook.
Enthusiasm, caring about the students, and being able to actually verbalize what you're thinking. Okay. And neat writing.
I'm not saying come out in like a Broadway show, but at the same time, just like keep us riveted.
Students normally put themselves limits. A good professor blows those limits away, and they let you go way further than you ever thought you could go, and it will inspire you, it will mentor you to get there.
Some people are great researchers, some people can teach really well, some people need to, at a university, people need to be able to tie that together. And that's really what the X factor is, to be able to take what you're learning in real life, what they're learning in real life, what they're researching and what they're doing, and able to turn it into something that students can learn and can take away with.
The characteristics of a good professor, at least in my mind, are extremely engaging, very concise, and most importantly, they take an active interest in the students, both inside and outside the classroom.
He should have a sense of humor that can make students have fun in class and participation of the students in class.
Somebody who can make learning enjoyable.
And someone who can make learning not only easy, but fun, and someone who can make it worth our while, make us feel that we're there for a reason.
There's two really simple things that make a good professor. One, somebody who's extremely knowledgeable about their subject area, and then somebody who gets involved in student life.
To be approachable, because a lot of professors are really, not threatening, but intimidating.
And what makes a good professor to me is that they know who I am, so that I am Deandra, not U0064.
Someone you can run into in the Odette lobby, or you can run into them in the middle of the university, and they'll say hi to you, they'll remember your face, and it really means a lot to a student when a professor can run up to you and say, hi, how's it going?
It's like hard to be in a new country as it is, so to know that a professor is like always willing to help you, it makes all the difference in the world then.
Where professors really need to make that student feel that the doubt she has is not stupid or anything, even though it might sound silly, but still, the fact that she didn't take that in high school or anything, it's not her fault. It's just because different countries have different syllabus in high school.
A good professor will make international students feel their background and their life experience is part of the education they are getting at this university, and that contributes not just to their own education, but to the rest of the classroom.
What I think makes a good professor is someone who's eager and willing to stay in touch with students, communicate to them what's going on in the classroom through emails, and having organized notes and slides ready so that they feel like they know what's going on in the class and that they don't feel uncomfortable if they ever need to approach you with a question.
Open door policies are a big thing for me. Is there when you need help.
And I would say a good professor is someone who takes their time to help out students if they don't understand things from class.
Office hours are a big thing. I think if professor is open with his students, it makes it way easier for the student to do better in the class.
I think what makes a great professor is someone who actually cares that his students are learning, and he's not just there to talk, but he actually wants his students to know what they're doing.
Someone who goes the extra mile to make themselves available to students, through email, telephone, office hours, and they really ensure that the student is really learning
and not just memorizing stuff from the textbook.
Interesting assignments or assignments that actually engage us in some of the things in our lives is wonderful. I like to be able to feel like I'm learning something for a reason and not just simply for a credit. So
I think a professor that engages with students and relates to reality and what's going on in society is what makes a good professor.
They foster that love of learning, and they foster a love for the subject, and they show that in every day.
A professor who can really go to the students, appreciate that not every student learns in the exact same way, and cater to those needs. Because really, at the end of the day, education is really a lifelong venture, and it's all personal and it's all unique. And a professor that can find that, exploit that, and at the same time utilize that to further their own studies, now that is a great professor.